Hello and welcome to our special program To The Point. Today we have with us Union Minister for Minority Affairs, Ms. Najma Heptulla. Ma'am, welcome to the show and welcome to Rajya Sabha Television. Very opportune time to have this conversation with you since the NDA government has completed 1 year in power. There have been many programs which have been launched as far as the flagship schemes are concerned. There are certain programs which have been launched with respect to your ministry as well. So the first question which I have for you as being the person in charge for the Ministry of Minority Affairs is, what has been done in the past 1 year as far as your ministry is concerned, which can be counted as achievements?
I think whatever commitments my party and the Honorable Prime Minister has given in his more than 450 speeches all over the country, that has been my guideline. The commitments in our manifesto, which every political party has when they go for election, they make certain promises. So whatever promises the party has made towards the minorities and what the Prime Minister spoke at the various meetings, and he talked about Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, because the focus is on development, everybody's inclusive development. So that has been my guidelines. And after all, the development which is lopsided, where everybody is not involved, then the country will not really progress. So my focus has been on development. When I was given the Ministry of Minority Affairs charge, I studied. I have been in Parliament for the last 35 years, so in public life. So I know what are the problems of the minority community. I have 6 minorities: Muslims, Christian, Bodh, Sikhs, Parsis, and now Jains with us. Each one of them have different issues, different problems. Muslims have the problem of backwardness and education, and that was the area of focus for them. There are many issues, like for example Parsis. Their survival is the issue because they are reducing in number.
And one scheme launched by the previous government was Jio Parsi.
Jio Parsi program, and now this has been successful.
Okay.
There are many children have been born now, so their population is slowly increasing. So these are the different programs and different focuses on every minority is there. As far as the Muslims are concerned, they were backward in education, and that brings social and economic backwardness. So my ministry's focus in the past also have been to give a scholarship. But what I have done, we have increased the scholarship, we have streamlined the scholarship, we are using, and the support which I am getting from various programs which the Prime Minister is announcing are becoming very helpful to me. For example, Jan Dhan Yojana, digitization of the country. With the Jan Dhan Yojana, we opened many thousands and crores of accounts, including minority community. So now the higher level scholarship of the post-matric scholarship, we transfer it directly to the students, so there is no third person in between, and the direct benefit transfer goes faster and it's more transparent. As far as the pre-matric are concerned, we are using their parents' bank account for transfer of the money. This is streamlining good governance part of our
one thing which I would like to bring in out here is, ma'am, you're talking about scholarships, which is obviously one of the schemes which has attracted a lot of students from the minority community. It has rather been considered as one of the most successful schemes as far as the Ministry of Minority Affairs is concerned. We'll talk about other priority areas as well, but since that we are talking about scholarships, one suggestion which has come in very recently is from a Parliamentary Standing Committee on Social Justice and Empowerment. The committee has recommended that this particular scheme is so successful that this should not be restricted to a budget-driven sort of scheme. Rather, it should be made a demand-driven scheme. So, is that something which you concur with?
Every ministry would like more resources for them. But I am a practical person. This year the Finance Commission report came, and with the Finance Commission's recommendation, the government was not obliged to accept, but this government has accepted it because they know that the state also need money. The 10% more resources are going to the states. Instead of 32%, this finance commission has made it 42%. So 10% resources are less. In spite of that, the finance minister has not reduced our budget. A minimal increase of 4 crores have been given to us. So
but there is no cut. There has been no cut in the
no cut at all. But the one thing I can suggest, that now as more revenue is going to the states, a lot of money is going to the state. These scholarships are going to the state because students studying in the state, they can also join with us. Previously, this scheme was shared between the center and the state, 75-25. Now we are bearing all the 100% of it. Now, if these states want more, then they can help us in giving a scholarship to those students for their increased resources.
So you're saying that states should also go ahead and pitch in for as far as this particular scheme is concerned?
No, they can, because after all the students are in their various states. So their students will benefit. If we are doing it, the center sponsored scheme is doing it, they can also do it, help us in this way, because after all it's for the country.
Okay, coming back to the priority areas of your ministry, you spoke about scholarship scheme and how it has been beneficial to the students, specifically the girl students. There are several other schemes which have been launched very recently by your ministry, be it the Ustad scheme, which is more focused on craftsmen and skilled workers, or be it the scheme known as Manas, was more about skill development and job creation. So how are all these schemes going to benefit the people from the minority community?
The focus is to give them a better future, bring them into the mainstream of development, Sabka Vikas. Now, what are the backward? Education, backwardness, economic backwardness, which brings social backwardness. So, we are focusing on education, and the Prime Minister very recently announced, as soon as he came, Ministry for Skill Development. His focus is on skilling India and make in India and the entrepreneurship. So what we are doing in our ministry through Manas, we already had National Minorities Development Finance Corporation. We have that, the money is through that. But Manas scheme in November I launched, which means Maulana Azad National Academy for Skills. And by launching it, I said that we want to create Bhale Manas, good people. Those, you remember, Prime Minister made a speech or an interview. He said that I want the madrasa children to carry Quran in one hand and a computer in the other. Now, when he talks about Quran Sharif, I said we want to give them qalam in one hand and awzar in the other, not hatyar and gun in the hand. So that they can have a better living. This is my focus. When we generate skills in them and we help them with finances also, they can become entrepreneurs and participate not only in their development, because they will get job. We are trying to create jobs for them. I have signed many MOUs with various people like Dr. Trehan. In Chennai, we signed an agreement with Kamla Hassan, very, very important people who have focus on these issues. And we are creating 100% or 75% job for these children. And these schemes are going on through the Manas.
So this is about skill development. What about Ustad, which is more focused on craftsmen and...
there is one commitment in our manifesto also about the Ustad. Now, I would remind you one thing. Focus is on girls' education.
Yes, yes.
46% in all our schemes of the scholarship, recipient are 46% girls. You can imagine how many girls are getting educated through these scholarships, getting benefited. So the Ustad scheme is about those traditional craftsmen. Now, it so happened, because it's historical, that those people who came from all over the world, especially Central Asia, Iran, Turkey, in generation, they came to India to settle, and they settled in this fertile land of India where India adopted them. Bharat Mata adopted them. Now, they brought with them their specific skills. They remain, these skills remain in their families generation after generation, from father to the son, from the mother to the daughter. Now, these skills are becoming scarce because the children don't find them very lucrative because there is no protection for them. They are suffering with money crunch for buying things and selling, and they don't have market, they don't have support for the designs, and they don't find very attractive to continue, the young people. So the Prime Minister's focus on this, that these skills, they are our treasure, they are this treasure which I've got from centuries, and we have to protect it. So I thought of it, this scheme, in the early days when I took over, within 2 weeks, I thought of a scheme and named it Ustad, because Ustad is always related to a master craftsman.
Expert.
Whether it's a teacher, good teacher is called Ustad, whether it's a good musician, Ali Akbar and Alauddin Khan, Ravi Shankar, they are Ustad, Amjad Ali Khan, Ustad, any good painter is a Ustad, any good Karigar is Ustad, any good Bunkar is Ustad. So I thought of using this word. So I thought of calling it upgradation of skills and training in traditional arts and craft for development. Ustad, USTTAD. And everybody liked it. Arun Jaitley ji liked it, PM liked it, because it reflects to the jobs which we are creating. People can identify themselves. This scheme was announced in the first budget of Finance Minister Arunji, and now we planned the whole thing out, and in Banaras, in Varanasi, we launched it. Now this Ustad scheme, and I am very happy that the Prime Minister is bringing schemes which can be worked together in correlation with each other, in totality, not just individual.
How's that? How does that work?
See, Jan Dhan Yojana was the first scheme he started, where those people who do not have accounts, they can open bank account even if they don't have anything to put into the account.
Okay.
Crores of people, thousands of crores of people open those accounts in the bank. Then he started, now recently, I went to Kashmir to announce it, the 3 very good schemes he announced: insurance scheme, 2 insurance scheme, and 1 scheme for pension scheme, Atal Pension Yojana. These schemes are for the poor people, those people who are self-employed. They are not like us who can get benefits, who can get health benefit, who can get pension and all. These are the self-employed people, and these craftsmen are self-employed. They are doing the mazduri actually for somebody else. So they are not paid anything, they don't have insurance. Secondly, the Mudra Bank, which was announced, which will help these poor people. And I want to say here that all these schemes, whether it's Jan Dhan Yojana or the 3 schemes for insurance and 1 for the pension scheme or the Mudra Bank, this is not for the rich people, that as the opposition is making all kinds of allegations that this government and Mr. Modi is for the rich. Who are these schemes for? Do I need the insurance? Do I need pension? It's for those people who are really poor, who are not protected. So all these schemes working together, the Mudra Bank will give them loan to start their business, to buy the raw material, and we are going to support them. And the digitization, the digital India, we are going to use the computer, internet for selling their products, connecting them to the market.
So in essence, basically the schemes which your ministry has launched are in coherence, are working in coherence with the other flagship programs of the government of India. Okay, great, wonderful. We'll take a short break here, and when we come back, we will continue this conversation with the Minister of Minority Affairs, Ms. Najma Heptulla. Welcome back. Dr. Najma Heptulla, the Minister for Minority Affairs, is with us. Ma'am, before we went into the break, we were talking about how the schemes of the Ministry of Minority Affairs are working in coherence with the flagship programs of the Prime Minister and the central government overall. Let's come to one or two more things, and then we can come back to the the ministry itself. This is also related to the ministry. There's a very important issue. Something which has been talked about quite a while at several forums. That's about the issue of Waqf properties. There have been certain questions which have been raised how the government has not been able to free some of the Waqf properties from encroachment, which in turn has led to a bit of a loss in terms of, if not revenue generation, then in terms of utilization of that land pool. And let's not forget that I guess if I'm not wrong, your ministry is going to be is as of now the second largest landholder in the country after railways.
Exactly. We have got 6 lakh acres of land all over the country.
Whooping number.
It's a very, very large number of land property we have. Some of them are the mosque and those graveyards, etc. But a lot number of land is there which people have donated to for the development or for the betterment of their community. Now, I think we can generate our own resources also to cover some of the schemes. And as the Sector Committee's report has said, that if all this property is developed, then we can generate 12,000 crores per year. Now, I'm not thinking that we can develop all the 6 lakhs of acres of land at one go, because some of the land, as you rightly said, is under occupation, illegal occupation. There is a bill which is pending before the committee of the parliament, which will give us more teeth to get this land vacated from illegal occupation. Okay. But pending that, we have identified a lot of properties all over the country which are vacant, freehold, and we can develop them. And this is in process, and very soon we are going to start development over there in Karnataka, in Rajasthan, in Madhya Pradesh, even in Delhi we have identified land. We are going to develop that property and generate our own resources. So we will be less burden on the government, and then we will have more resources for the development of the minority. Apart from that, we have got an organization called NABARDCO, National Waqf Development Corporation. Now the other 2 schemes I would like to tell you, because these are all the commitments made in our manifesto. And thank God that I have been able to implement all the points identified in the manifesto. We have got another scheme called Hamari Dharohar, because there is a focus on the different cultural identities. As I told you, there are 6 minorities. All the 6 minorities have their own cultural identities within the overall framework of the Indian culture. They are not outside Indian culture, but they have their own individual identity. Jains have their own culture. They have got 40,000 manuscripts which we are planning to digitize for them, to preserve them. Then we have the Parsis. There is a scheme which was announced by the finance minister in this budget, which is called Eternal Flame, which we are going to have an exhibition early next year. Then there is another scheme which is called Nai Manzil, which is for the Muslims, in which the madarsa student, madarsa are with HRD ministry, but madarsa student who pass out of the madarsa, we want to have a bridge course for them, so that they can have education, 1 manzil of the religious education. The second manzil is for other education, skill development, and job creation in other areas also. So this is called Nai Manzil, which is, I'm going to launch it perhaps from Bihar, because there are a lot of madrasas over there.
Okay, so these are the other two schemes which are going to focus on the culture and how job creation can be done.
Yes, we have covered everything which is being promised by the government, and plus what the Prime Minister says, good governance, skill development, And we'll be like in the scheme which we announced, the Ustad in Banaras or Varanasi, it will be skilling India and make in India. So we are part, you know that the
part of the overall larger
you know
larger
what I
scheme of
feel,
things.
the Prime Minister has selected, Modi ji has selected a very good emblem for Make in India with wheels, because the government also works together. It doesn't work individually. It works, it's connected, all the programs are like wheels and they are connected and the whole machinery is working.
Okay, coming to the next thing, when we are talking about Waqf board and the properties involved, you mentioned such a committee. That's another thing which I wanted to come to. Such a committee, then another panel, a Kundu panel. There are several recommendations which have been given by these these panels as far as for the working towards the upliftment of the minority community is concerned, be it Muslims or several other minority communities, specifically about Muslims only. But the recommendations of the Sacha committee is something which has been debated for quite a while now. One, what is the status of that? Two, there were several recommendations which were made by the Kundu panel as well, and which was made to you only when you were minister in charge quite a few months back. So what is the status?
You see, I'll tell you one thing. Yes, such a committee has made a lot of recommendations. They are identified. You know, the issues are so identified. Now, I don't react on these things, I act on these things. Because the recommendations are there and we are one by one having programs designed so that those backwardness, those weaknesses can be removed, so that we can bring the Muslims, especially because that was only for the Muslims, that we should bring in the mainstream of economic development, the inclusive development which the Prime Minister has talked about. So, Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas is actually can be identified in relation to the Sachar committee's report. Now, Kundu committee's report was given to us, it was only about the 15-point program of my ministry, which is the Prime Minister's 15-point program which we inherited from the previous government. That is, there are few programs which we directly take, there are few programs are identified with other ministry, like housing, education, then there are more rural development, industrial development, you know, bringing the, including 15% in every program, the minority share, so that the other departments of the government are taking care. You know, as I told you, the government is different wheels which are working together. So that is relating to the 15-point program of the Prime Minister. We have got these reports, we understand it, we are finding program. So not point by point you can say, they said this, what did you do? They said that, what did you do? For me, the most important is the commitment made in the manifesto of my party, which covers everything. The Prime Minister's slogan, Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, covers everything.
Okay, one very important question which we have out here is something which has led to I would say a verbal duel between the government and the opposition. That's the opposition has been making allegations that as far as the protection of minority community is concerned, or maybe the places of their religious worship, this government is not doing enough. This is something, there are some certain remarks which have been made by certain leaders of the ruling party have also been objected to by the opposition. The Prime Minister has made statement, but since you're the Minister for Minority Affairs, Dr. Heptulla, what is your take as far as your government's has completed 1 year in power? Have you been able to take satisfactory measures as far as protection of minority community and establishment of peace and calmness in the society is concerned?
You see, protection of the minorities and majorities is the responsibility of the Home Ministry. Giving a confidence among the minorities and the majority and various communities, people in this country, is that responsibility of the Prime Minister. And Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji, right from the very beginning, have made to me 4 major announcements. One from the rampart of the Red Fort, when he, 15th of August, he addressed the nation. One in the reply of the President's address, motion of thanks in the Lok Sabha. The third he made in February, when he addressed in Vigyan Bhavan, the two saints were declared by the Vatican, so in celebration of that. And the last one, the interview which he gave to Time magazine. In all the four, he has said very clearly that the Constitution is the most sacred book for us, and we are responsible to protecting the rights enshrined in our Constitution. And his speech is very, very clear, so I don't have to worry about it. As far as my reaction is concerned, now I have stopped reacting. I am in a position where I act. I act in creating confidence among the minority community that we are there for their upliftment, for bringing them into the mainstream, and my work itself will prove it. Words have been talked since Garibi Hatao, minority appeasement, all those things. It didn't work. One should work, show with what you can do for them. When we see a change in their lives, automatically they will get confidence. I don't have to worry about, because I don't react, I act.
Well, thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much for being with us and giving us this time. So this was Minister for Minority Affairs in the NDA government, Dr. Najma Heptulla, in a candid conversation with us on the achievements of the ministry, the challenges before the ministry, the priorities of a ministry after 1 year of completion of the NDA government in power. We'll come back again next week with another personality on some other topic. Till then, keep watching Rajya Sabha Television.